Hey guys, welcome back to another Animal Crossing video. For this one, we're going to be starting out our new island with the entrance design, and I figured this would be a good place to start and help set up the tone for the rest of the island. Just a little introduction to my new thought process with this new island. I think I'm going to go ahead and take specific areas of the island, come up with an idea, at least, like 75% of an idea, and then build out and terraform and lay down paths and design basically to completion. That way I kind of have more of a visual lay of the land, if you will. Because with the first island that I did, the way it worked was like I would come up with a random idea in my head and I'd run over to one side of the island and I'd build that up. And then another idea would pop into my head while I was doing that. So I'd run over to the other side of the island and build that up really quick. And it just didn't really fit and flow as well as I would have liked, and it kind of led to me having to rework things a lot. So with this island, yeah, I kind of want to just focus on specific areas and build them out to completion. But yeah, you'll see these random patches of paths laid out all over the ground, like this square of palm trees. Not a finished product. As crazy as that may seem and as beautiful as that looks, it is not a finished product. This is just my way of kind of, I guess, taking notes before going into the building phase. So like for instance here, I have a random patch of wood where I'm going to put a really tiny restaurant. Just kidding. But this is where I want to put my restaurant. So this is just kind of like a reminder to myself, like, hey, this is going to be the main area for your restaurant, so don't build right through it. Kind of build around that. And then, for instance, here, initially I wanted to put like a live band, stage, live music type of thing for the beachside restaurant that I'm going to build out. I think that plan might change because I have another idea for a stage on a different area of the island, but we'll see. But yeah, this is just me kind of mapping things out and giving myself a visual representation of my ideas so I can, one, remember, two, plan around it. And just hopefully that's going to allow me to kind of build out more organized areas and make my island flow better and kind of utilize space better as well. Because that's a big deal in this game, I feel like. I mean, the islands are big, but with as much stuff as they give you to work with, I don't think they're big enough. So it's really important to kind of utilize the space as efficiently as possible. So anyways, this is going to be the initial entrance phase. So yeah, here we go. Alright, so for this entrance, I was trying to do something I hadn't seen yet on any other island. I feel like a lot of the time people, myself included, immediately gravitate towards using that water fountain as the focal point of their entrance and kind of building up around that and then lead it to the resident services building, which, don't get me wrong, it's a good idea and usually it ends up looking awesome. But I wanted to kind of test myself with this and try something a little bit out of the box. I didn't really have much of a plan when I started this.
Come up with an idea, at least, like 75% of an idea.
It just kind of started to happen naturally as I was starting to build, but I like how it ended up and I like how it kind of progressed. This little path here that I'm starting to build, I kind of wanted to go for like that natural bridge look without actually using and wasting a bridge slot that the game gives you, since I think you only get like 8 total to work with. It ended up being something a little bit different in the end, kind of more like a windy path up to the hotel. But that's what I was talking about earlier, kind of having like 75% of a plan ahead of time going into it.
I didn't really have much of a plan when I started this.
and then the rest will kind of change and morph, and it'll work itself out with the space that you're given and what you've already built up to that point. Here I'm laying down kind of an outline of a path so I can plan the rest of the area around where I want this path to go. I knew ahead of time I was going to be looking for a custom path, and I had an idea in my head of what I wanted that path to look like, but I hadn't found it yet. So in the meantime, I wanted to at least give myself another one of those visual representations to help plan around until I got that path, and I can still build while the idea was fresh in my mind. If you watched my first video that I did, that final tour video, I briefly mentioned how I like to use these path designs to map out the dimensions of a bridge. So this is what I'm doing with this. This is going to be the bridge that leads down to the restaurant next to the beach. So I'll be able to use these bridge dimensions to build around without having to actually go through that whole process of getting the bridge actually built. So yeah, I'm going to finish this up, and then I will meet you back when I have the restaurant outlined in Terraform. Okay, so I've got the rough draft of a restaurant down. Now that I have that somewhat built up, I can go ahead and make tweaks to the area a little later when I have a better idea of what I'm actually working with. You can see up at the top level here, I won't have too much room to work with for what I'm planning on doing with this space, which is a bar type area. So I'll at least get the framework down, all that tedious stuff like the terraforming and laying down the floor, and then I can make changes as necessary as I go along with the rest of it. Alright, so I've worked throughout the day. It's now nighttime, and I've got blisters all over my virtual hands from all the digging I've been doing with no help of these villagers walking around just watching me do all the work. And now it's time to lay down that custom path I was referring to earlier. And this path ended up fitting exactly the feel I was going for with this. The only downside is that it can be a little bit tricky to nail down exactly which specific piece goes where. So yeah, enjoy watching me struggle with that. Alright, back to the front entrance. I thought there was something missing here as I was going back and forth past this spot. So I decided to kind of close it off a bit and then build up another one of these waterfall structures to really shut this area off from the rest of the island and make it its own. It ended up actually working out really well for what I wanted to do with the area to the right of this, which I'll have coming out in another video after this one. But yeah, confirmed. My new method of planning things is actually working out alright so far. So it's starting to come together here, but I did feel like things were looking a little bit barren around the edges of the water and some of the paths. So I went ahead and put down some flowers and some shrubs and built up some fencing to fill the area in a bit more. Also, you'll see like outside of the fences and away from the paths, I put down this other custom dirt path along with some natural looking items to make the area look a little bit more natural and jungly. So now it's time to design that bar area that's going at the top level of this restaurant. You can see I built the surface out a little bit more to give myself more room to work with. I'll do even more tweaking after I have things put into place too. I feel like there's always like moving parts with these things when you start building, but it's cool to see how the process kind of comes together. Thanks for watching this whole process, guys. I hope it gave you some good insight into one of, I'm sure, hundreds of ways to go about designing your island. But if you did enjoy this, please leave a like and consider subscribing. I'm planning on making sort of a series out of this. The next area I'm going to work on is the Able Sisters shop and that whole area leading down to the resident services. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Again, thanks so much for watching, guys, and enjoy the final walkthrough. I'll see you in the next one.